There is a tendency within us where we would let things be, let things remain as they are. Let us not disturb or cause a certain disruption in how things are. Let us accept how our situation is and not make too much of a noise. Let things be, and we should not do anything that disturbs the status quo, that shakes how things presently are. We like to settle down. We like to not change things too much. A little small change here and there is fine, but not change that would completely disrupt or even destroy how things function. We want to timidly accept the situation, our present condition, and not question or make too much of a ruckus to challenge our present state. So we prefer this quiet, inactive, not too revolutionary or anything that would bring in huge change in how things are. We'd rather adjust or manipulate ourselves so that we can fit in or blend in better. Any agent who tries to question, which threatens the status quo, it's someone who we do not entertain or pay much heed to, thinking that eventually, sooner or later, they would also play along. They would also adjust themselves in the established rules. Anything, any action, any movement that tries to challenge or shake the already established norm has to face a certain resistance from that who is already established, because it is in our habits, it is in our routines, it is in our traditions that we seek security and a certain comfort, and to challenge that tradition, habit, is to challenge or put in jeopardy one's security and comfort. So we'd rather play along and conform to the norm, conform to what generally, normally goes on, than to find out for oneself what is right or what is actually real, or what is meaningful or has certain or has any value. The norms, the tradition, the habits that are already established may appear valuable, but it is one's responsibility to check and inquire whether they are really that valuable, or it is just a unanimously arrived conclusion that the habits and traditions that come from the past hold actual value just by the virtue of them being old and of the past. Because questioning, inquiring, and finding out for oneself leads to a shakedown, a disruption, a disturbance in how we have been thinking about things in our present situation. And since we are so addicted to the comfort and security in how things are in our settled life, that we would resist any kind of change, disturbance, or disruption. Unless the change or the disruption is within the limits of our own pattern, we would gladly accommodate that. But as soon as that change or that disturbance begins to crack or go beyond the pattern that one is used to, that becomes unacceptable. We only welcome change or anything that is different unless and until it fits our already existing tradition, pattern, or ideas. It has to come in that same limited circle in which we function, and if it seeks to break that, it is automatically resisted. So most of us would find ourselves, because we want that security, we want that comfort, most of us would find ourselves conforming, not shaking things around too much, not encouraging ourselves to find out whether the established tradition, pattern, or habit has any significance on its own, or it is just agreed upon by the majority, by everyone around us, that it has become or assumed to be the real thing. Anything that is real, original, authentic has to go through this path of negation, where you have to start by not accepting or buying in the rules that are already laid in front of you. One has to start from scratch, because understanding into any subject, whether it is the knowledge of the outside world or the knowledge within, knowing one own self, whenever we embark to understand anything, we have to start from scratch. We cannot make or function on this assumption or go ahead on this assumption that whatever is in front of us is so, and from there we have to build on. That might be acceptable or even sensible when it comes to the knowledge of the world outside of us, but when it comes to knowing oneself, the already existing knowledge about the self would only prove to be an impediment in knowing oneself completely, in knowing oneself authentically. And there is then value in not playing along, in not going with the flow, in not just settling down, because the settling down would give us a sense of security and comfort. From rejection, from not consenting, from negation comes that which is original and authentic. The more we play along, the more we are seeking comfort or eager to settle down, the more we would be dulling ourselves, the more we would be losing the vigor, the energy to move with life, because life is constantly moving with great energy, with great vigor, with great passion. And to settle down, accept what is in front of us, to buy into what everyone else is doing, is to strangulate, is to put a stop sign on that movement and passion of life. When we readily accept what is in front of us, that is agreed on by everyone else, we stifle the possibility for ourselves to know anything original, to come upon anything authentic. It is when we do not agree to play along or go by the norms and the current structure of the society, of everything around us, is there a possibility that we can stand by ourselves on our own feet, and doing that puts us against the flow, against the dead flow that has been going on, flowing from the past and from the now to the future, and it will go on unless we dare to stand up and see for ourselves, find out what is actually valuable, what is actually comfortable, what is really secure. Because if we are already too eager to accept and go by the norm, too ready to conform to the status quo, we are essentially rejecting the possibility of anything new, until we continuously reject, negate, and stop playing along by the already established rules, we would be never to find for ourselves. We would be never be able to find for ourselves what is really worth doing, worth giving our life to, because it is convenient and easy to just accept and put one's head down and continue to walk the path that has already been treaded down by everyone else. But the beauty, the strength that we generate within ourselves when we do not agree to walk down the same old path has its own value. Most of us want to be different, to not be just a copy of the next person. We want to be different. We want to set ourselves apart from the majority. But that change, that difference that we want is within that limited circle which would be acceptable by the rest. And as soon as we step out of that circle where we are actually different, where we really set ourselves apart from the rest, that is when we are termed, or one is termed, as an alien. And until one is a complete alien to the current existing structures and establishment, there is no real difference between anyone. All are much or less the same, because all our differences are within a limited circle, and it is within those limited boundaries that we wish to be unique and different from the other. All our uniqueness has to confine to the broader rules of this limited circle. But it is the one who dares to be a complete alien to the established structure and patterns is truly different, and that is what makes the person original or authentic, because they have come upon through negation to something new, and one cannot come upon the newness within the pattern that consists of everything that is old. When we agree to conform or settle down into that which seems comfortable and secure, we inwardly die a death which is sooner than the death of the physical being, because the movement of life has come to a halt within us. To conform is to put a stop, or to say a blunt no to the newness of life. And so this is a trade, a bargain where we will always find ourselves at a loss. We may think this is a profitable deal that we have bought into, that we have secured ourselves, that we have finally settled down by conforming and accepting, playing by the rules. But what we have instead settled upon is our own inward death, because now nothing within us is actually alive. What remains is our habits, old traditions that are of the past. We survive on the remains of our past habits and norms. Nothing new, nothing fresh then ever comes along in our lives. To consent and quietly accept how things are and do things according to the norm without causing any noise, without disturbing the status quo, is to live a dead machine kind of life, a mechanical kind of life, where we just do what we are told, function within a set of rules, and abide by the values and the norms that are set by the majority. And this is a short way to a dull life, to a boring life, a life where nothing new actually happens. We may feel like we are doing new things, indulging ourselves in different unique activities, but it is as if that we go from one code of instructions to another code of instructions. We exchange one set of rules for another set of rules, because it is within limitations, within boundaries, that we find our security. To be really insecure is to be actually secure. When one does not mind the outside insecurity, one establishes a deeper, a lasting security within, because conformity destroys us. Settling down, agreeing, consenting to this flow that has been going on from the past, which makes us also its part, is a complete death of ourself. When we resist to disrupt or destroy or to question, we actually end up destroying our own self, because we were too timid or uncomfortable to inquire by our own self. And so now we live this timid, quiet, decaying life.